This video is going to be about cofunctions. So we're going to take a step away from some of the word problems and solving for sides and angles, and we're just going to talk about our cofunctions. And cofunctions are going to be sine and cosine. They're considered cofunctions, and in this video we're going to talk about a little bit why. So just to start, just to show you what it means that they're cofunctions, is we're going to work with this first example here, and we're going to find the sine of angle t. So if we go through our brace map of angle t, we know that we have opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So the opposite is 7, the adjacent is 24, and the hypotenuse is 25. And then if we do the sine of t, we should have 7 over 25. All right. The second one's going to ask what's the cosine of c. So talk about cosine of c. We still have a O, a, and a h, but our point of view here is going to change to c. So our opposite is 24, our adjacent is 7, and our hypotenuse is 25. So the cosine of angle C is going to be 7 over 25. Now, that's a little interesting because our sine of t and our cosine of c are actually the same answer. And that's what we're going to start to talk about why. So now also, what do you think, before we get into this, what do you think would happen with the sine of c and the cosine of t? Do you think that it would have the same value? Do you think that they would be different? Or why? We're going to have that question in this video coming up. Alright? Now, what do we know about angles c and t? Well, in this particular picture, we know that angle c and angle t must add up to 90 degrees. So c plus t is equal to 90 degrees. And the reason why we know that is because all three of these angles must add up to 180. And we know that angle A is already 90 degrees. So that means c and t have to make up the rest, which would be 90. So this is important because this is why this cofunction rule works. So the cofunction rule is stated that sine of A, of any angle A, is equal to cosine of angle B if A plus B is 90 degrees. So anytime A and B are 90 degrees or add up to 90 degrees, then sine and cosine are going to have the same value. And this will happen in any right triangle. This is a very, very common Regents question, and it's multiple choice, and it asks you about a right triangle, which statement will be true. So it's always that sine of A is equal to cosine of B if A plus B is 90 degrees. All right, now, how can we see this in an algebra question or something that's a little different? We're going to show you down here. All right, so example is, if sine of 3x plus 10 is equal to cosine of x plus 4, then find x. Well, since they're equal, we just said that these two things need to add up to 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an equation. And we're going to add them together, and we're going to set them equal to 90 degrees. So 3x and x is 4x, 10, 24 is 34, and just solve for x as we would using two-step equation. 4x equals 56, and then divide by 4. We get x equals 14. So again, we know we can do this because if sine is equal to cosine, then their angles must add to 90 degrees. All right, that's the reason we can set this equation up. So this is a rule that's going to come up every once in a while, multiple choice for the most part, or maybe a part 2 where it's going to ask you to explain this rule. And the rule is, as I said before, sine is equal to cosine if the two angles add up to 90 degrees. All right, this is just a rule that you're going to have to memorize.